Good morning. Actually, it's good evening because we've been podcasting all day, but now I'm leaving the finest until last because this is a very, very, very special entrepreneur who is a beast in her right. And we were fortunate enough to invest in this particular company about a year or so ago. And at that time, I knew this was going to be a firecracker. I knew because of the company. I knew because of the area that they were specializing in. I knew because of how amazing she is at working with investors that this company was going to fly to a huge valuation. And I was not wrong. So we only do a second podcast when we have really special companies to bring back. And we believe that investors need to know about these because we feel this company is going to jump to $100 million within the next year or so. And we believe it's going to go to $1 billion within the next 2 to 3 years, from my mouth to God's ears. Charmin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan. Always very happy.
You have just been like for the
Rocket
last
ship?
year, like a rocket ship. Like you started, it was incredible. When I first met you, it's just, you can tell. Sometimes people say, it's like, how come this person is so incredibly successful? And I struggle so much, and I pitch 100 investors, and I get 100 no's, and then I try my company, and I get the wrong people. It's because there are some people who are just phenomenal execution with investors and phenomenal execution in the business. It is incredibly rare to get that type of person, but that person is, no question about it, you.
Yeah. So actually, you know what? It was not easy. So you're bang on right that you speak with 100+ investors, you get 50 of them don't even want to talk to you, and then out of the remaining 50 they ask you for the decks, and then you send out the deck, and then out of that there are hardly 15 to 20 who actually want to get on a call, and then from there it's just the final 5 who actually are like, okay, now we need to do some serious business-based talking. But then, you know what? The whole secret here is absolute patience and perseverance and continuously being at it. I mean, this is something that I always tell everyone, all of these founder friends out there, that fundraising is a full-time job, and the CEO's work is to only go out there and fundraise and let the team do all of the other work. I mean, sales, marketing, tech. It is not the founder's work. Founder's work is just to get food on the table. And if you're able to do that, the team will anyway, do its thing. Yeah.
So maintain the vision of the company, which is tremendously important. Make sure that you, not only do you never, ever run out of money, but actually the great founders will make sure that you always have the amount of money needed to get to Horizon 3, to get to that next level while everybody else is trying to defend their previous level. That's what puts the great founders over here and all other founders over here. They understand how this works. So I want to rewind back a little bit. First time I met you, first time we spoke on the phone, Jonathan Wallace, one of our venture partners here, is a great guy. He said to me, you're just going to see her and you're going to love her. She has exactly what it takes. You just know when you're on the phone. I mean, you straight away. And there was a certainty about you. I'm not sure quite how to explain it, but there's not a doubt in your mind. I don't think there's ever been a doubt in your mind from the first time I met you, and probably from the first time that you started this, that you were going to build $1 billion company.
So, I think, like you rightfully said, execution, right? I mean, no idea is good or bad. It is all about how the team executes it. So I think that is my biggest strength. Resilience just comes naturally to me, yes, and we've discussed that in the previous podcast also with you. So I think I am continuously, at things, and unabashed, unapologetic, and just continuously doing whatever it takes to get to the milestones. I mean, you have to be so driven and so passionate, and no matter whatever it takes, but you have to get there. And yes, there is a huge price that a founder has to pay, right? Anxiety and stress. I mean, I eat stress for breakfast every day, honestly. That is how it is. But then, you know what? Earlier I used to feel like I'm eating stress. Now it's like I'm munching chicken. And
but
yeah.
to my original point, there was never a moment where you doubted you were going to build $1 billion company. And I don't want it to be a leading question. I just truly believe it. I believe
Yes.
that you don't wake up in the morning and think, oh my gosh, this is so scary. There's so many other companies coming out here. They're building this and this and this. That you wake up in the morning and you believe, I already have $1 billion company. I just need to walk there.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that I'm sitting on a gold mine, because the the ultimate thing that I'm selling in this company at Instoried is empathy. And empathy is what drives us human beings. We are emotional people. There is so much of emotion that is driving this company. So I always knew that this is going to be the Shangri-La of startups, that this is what is meant to be. Not even once for never did I ever doubt myself that, okay, what if or what not. I mean, I'm someone who's driven by anxiety, who's I mean, I perform when I'm in under pressure. So never ever did I think that, okay, I'm not going to make it. I knew that, yes, baby steps and the right set of people, if you're able to collaborate with them, then there is a gold mine. I just need to get the right jewelers to essentially start making jewelry out of that gold. So team was always my worry, nothing else. Yes.
Beautiful. So, okay, in that case, I think we've teased everybody enough. Let's talk a little bit about the company and let's talk about why the company is so important. You've just raised $10 million. You have raised probably in the top percentile of founders from India, but you've lived in San Francisco before, and you're down in Los Angeles right now. You're dominating the entire world. But as far as like founders that have raised money and founders that have gone through speed of growth, you're definitely in the top percentage of a percentile. So let's talk about how you got there, how you got the idea of Instoried, and where Instoried fits in the world, and when you knew, first of all, that this was a massive gap in the market, and secondly, when you knew that you could come up with a solution to it.
Right. So, my first startup, that's how it all happened actually. So my first startup was about, I mean, I was building India's very own Netflix. Because I lived in the US before and I knew how the whole Netflix revolution happened. So when I went back to India after I quit my fancy Wall Street job here. So the plan was to build India's Netflix. But then we soon understood after 3.5 years that we were a little ahead of our time because the whole digital revolution had still not happened. India was still 4 to 5 years behind that. So we ended up selling the copyrights of all the work that we'd done to a nice Bombay-based production house. I took the money, exited, and then I wrote 2 books, and I was creating a lot of content for a number of CXOs globally. And that is where it occurred to me that good quality content is always the king. But unfortunately, content creation isn't as much a problem as much as it is to gauge whether that content is going to resonate well with your audiences, if it is something that is really going to create an impact and get you to sell your product and get the number of clicks that you need on your marketing communication. So all of these things were happening, and the biggest challenge is that people are flying blind. They have absolutely no idea whether their communication is going to stick with their audiences or not. So we thought that, okay, just how everyone out there, all of the health insurance guys are coming up with insurance for COVID-19, why not come up with an insurance for your brand narrative, for your brand messaging? How do you do that? What is the insurance? The insurance is the empathy quotient of your content, and that's exactly what we do. So we use technology to help you understand what is the empathy quotient of your content, and also give you smart recommendations on the kind of words that you need to use in order to ensure your brand's messaging and narrative. That's exactly what we do. When we started, we were in the only in the content evaluation space, but I'm super excited and thrilled to tell you that now we are in the content creation space also. So just feed in a few keywords and the tool will come up with smart, intelligent captions for your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. All you need to do is just sit on front of the system and let the algorithm do its magic. It's just incredible what we've built.
Amazing. And I want to go into the detail of it, but I just think if I'm trying to find a comparison, if Grammarly was a grown up, it would be called Instoried, right?
so so yeah, I mean I Grammarly's of course their biggest offering is grammar correction, and no doubt they they have nailed it. They are they're doing amazingly well, and now they are a unicorn in that space. We, however, are not very focused on just the grammar. I mean, yes,
No.
grammar is important, but then what next? The next big thing obviously is emotion, empathy, all of these things. So this is where our main focus area is, that how do you get the empathy right, and how do you get people to connect with your brand, with your narrative, with your messaging. Yes.
And the thing is, really, you say it very eloquently, but you're saving us from our terrible communication. Because what happens is we write the same way we think, but without the empathy. So we know that messaging is generally 8% the words that we say. It's maybe 40 or 50% the gestures that we use. Maybe there's another 40 or 50% on the tone that we're making, but we don't have that luxury in the written word. So we take what we say, we transcribe it normally directly onto a piece of paper or a laptop, and we send it out in whatever way we're going to send it out, a flyer, a message, a website, an email that goes to someone, with the intention that 100% of our message will transcribe, but in the knowledge that logically only 8% of the message can ever transcribe, because it's broken as a system. So it's so clever how you've come in and said, if we can just take all of those areas that are lacking, all of these beautiful areas that we have in our spoken word, and we can try and help people go from that 7 or 8% to actually 40, 50, 60, 70%, then much fewer people are going to hate each other. More
Absolutely.
people are going to open emails. More people are going to buy things because it's going to speak to how they feel as opposed to what they say or what they do. The extent where you can take this is literally limitless, because
Absolutely.
the depths of our despair is so deep.
Yes. Yes. I mean, the like you rightfully said, the beauty of this thing is that the depth is just insane. I mean, even I don't know how deep can this go. So the thing is that any kind of messaging, right, starting from, let's say, university students who are writing their theses, right, they need to understand how their messaging is coming out. Is it something that is really making sense or not? We have a plagiarism checker. They need to know if their content is original. To someone, let's say, who is just chatting with another person on a dating platform, right? I mean, how do you get your hit rates more? How do you ensure that you're right swiped by more women? By having a profile which will be much more exciting. Number one. Number two, how do you chat properly, right? And then on all of the messaging platforms.
By the way, I see thousands of people listening to this podcast suddenly going into their Tinder profile and desperately looking for Instoried, because they know that the message, it's even more complicated when we're talking about male to female. Let's just take male to female as an example. I know that's not always the case, but in this particular example, we know that males and females think so differently. And so you add on top of the fact that only 8% of your message comes through, and then you put in the gender difference in there as well. And now you're in just a bad place. So I see Tinder, Bumble, like all of these platforms that
Absolutely.
really care about not just gender, and we're not even talking about gender equality here. We're talking about something much more important. We're talking about like having two people being able to interact on the same level,
Absolutely.
whereby they
Yes.
both get equal enjoyment from it. So please continue. But like even just within dating there, my mind is going everywhere.
Absolutely. There is the opportunity is limitless. The everyone needs to create content, be it emails, be it marketing communication, be it dating based chats, or be it just nothing but CRM platforms, right? Or chatbots, etc. Or within let's say something like a BPO organization, wherein people need to chat with angry customers. So how do you know what is the tone like, and what should your response be like? So limitless opportunities. And if we are able to even get 20% of that large pie, I think we are already a unicorn, So, like I said, I'm sitting on top of a gold mine. And right now, the biggest thing for, me as a founder is to get the team right and to be able to execute this properly so that, we can get our numbers right in the next few months and then
I love
scale.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So good. I'm glad you said team, because when I'm going back to my original thoughts on what makes a great founder, really following what you said, maintain the vision, which we're going to get to at the end. Then make sure not only that you don't run out of money, but you have got so much money in front of you that you can execute this Horizon 3 vision. But then finally, to your point, make sure that you have the team to be able to execute on the minutiae and everything that needs to be done every single day of the week. So I want you to talk us through how you did this. You realize you had something huge. You realize you need a team of not 2 people, not 5 people, 20, 30, 40 people. You realize that within that team, you need product managers, you need head of developments, you need business development people, you need sales organizations, you need everything. Talk us through how you executed that in such a flawless way, and where the team is now, who you have in place, and what is still yet to come.
Right. Great question. And I love talking about the team because that is my biggest asset. So, yes, because we are primarily a tech company. So, right now we are 30 people in the team, and out of which 23 are in tech and 7, including me, are in sales and marketing. And we are now in the US because I'm incorporating in the US and I'm looking at building a massive sales team here, only sales. Tech will always remain in India. Also, half the marketing team will be in India only, and the other half we should soon be building here.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of this was done because of the great leadership team that we have. I am just the face of the company, but the backbone is, I think, the leadership team only. So we have a kick-ass, CTO, a great head of marketing, and a very awesome person who is leading our sales efforts in Asia right now. And I'm looking at hiring someone in the US to essentially take over all of the US based sales for us, North America essentially. So we are looking at hiring that now. So I think because at the grassroots level we had a kick-ass leadership team, hence all of the hiring that happened soon after was very easy because my contribution in hiring is zero so far, and I'll be very honest about it because I was just so busy fundraising, I could never really focus on hiring. But the rest of the leadership team has done an incredible job when it comes to hiring some very, very smart people. No compromise on that, absolutely.
Yeah, and I normally say, normally what happens with a founder, and this is part of the subtle differences that make you such a great founder, because normally you find a few people, you hire them, you spend all of your time there, you don't have time to do anything else, you build your company up, you get to the gladiator stage, you start to build processes, automation, all those other wonderful things, and then when you hit a Series B stage, you start building what's called the Knights of the Round Table. And the Knights of the Round Table is a stage you go through in startup where the most important thing are building those people who are just as important as Arthur is on the front of the table, right? So it's a round table because they're all good. You did that first,
Yeah.
right? You found your leaders, your Knights of the Round Table, not at Series B. You found them at seed, and you
Yes.
empowered those people to go out and find and hire and get those 30 people on board so that you could focus on the vision of the thing. And I think it's a great lesson for founders who are looking to move really quickly, but do so not breaking things, but on a really strong foundation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is the secret. And I'd also like to, mention here that I'm looking for kick ass people in the US. So, all you people listening to this, if you think you have it in you to be, a part of this incredible journey that we are in, and an even more incredible team, I am here to colonize America. Guys, reach out. Guys, girls, any gender, no problem. Please reach out. All you need is to be super, super incredible, and you should be, having it in you to be able to get whatever it takes, but build the company in the US. We are India's fastest growing deep tech startup, and now we are here in the US to, colonize US completely and, build from the ground up. And I ensure you do this and you will be the happiest that is ever there. And I will do whatever it takes to ensure that you're part of a kick-ass team and, you will have the best learning ever. So if you have it in you, please get in touch.
And this is so I got bad news and good news for everybody listening. The bad news is, I'm sorry, investment train has left the station. Next raise will probably be somewhere from 30 to 70 million dollars, and the next valuation will be well into the hundreds of millions of dollars. So if you're a large venture capital institution, yeah, please speak to us. We're happy to have a chat, and Sharman will be as well. Unfortunately for everybody else, this company just moved too quickly, even moved too quickly for us to be able to bring a lot of our friends into it, because it just sold out massively fast. So this is about watching a founder that's moving really fast and being able to either A, get into the next round if you're large enough institutional, or B, just being a part of the journey by joining the team and maybe getting some options in the team and having a chance to be on that rocket ship to the next Google, the next Facebook, the next Grammarly on steroids to become. And the thing is, I just know you. Like, I know you don't want $1 billion company. I know $1 billion company would be a bit of a disappointment for you. I know you're reaching right for the stars on this one.
Absolutely. There is no looking back. Either you're all in or you're not in at all. It's like black or white. There is no grace.
I, w-
in
I, I want to get to the vision in a couple of minutes, and I want to look at like what this company looks like in a few years. And I want you to help me visualize how many people are going to be working for the company, where are the people going to be, how is it going to affect just the way we deal with the written word everywhere, and I mean globally. But before I get there, we've covered the team really well. We're going to cover the vision in a second. I feel like we've touched on the investment, but I want to just get in a little bit deeper as to the reasons that you believe. And you've mentioned perseverance, and you've mentioned resilience, and you've mentioned these things, but I just want to go a little bit deeper in. You've raised $10 million and you've driven your revenue from zero up to hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month. You've done those two things, and both are important to be looked at pretty much in the same frame. Think about how you built this up with the investors and like how you put yourself in this position. What do you think it was that the investors saw in the company that made so many investors want to invest so much money so quickly?
So, this is a great question, and this is one question that I'm always asked. That in less than 2 years, how did you raise so much money? So the thing is that for any seed stage investor, it is not a bet on the revenues or the numbers or the vision. It is a bet on the founder, right? Completely. It's a gamble, and it's their hard-earned money, and they obviously want to get the multiples when they exit. And I'm happy to share that we've given 15 to 18x exits to our initial investors, and the only reason that they had invested and trusted us so early at a pre-product, pre-revenue, practically an idea stage was because the founding team was very strong, and we had a great story to tell. This is something that everyone should know, all founders or people who want to start their own companies later, that the only thing that really sells is the founding team. You don't need revenue to raise the first round or the second round of money. Yes, Series A, when there is like millions of dollars being spoken about on the table, then yes, revenue numbers do matter. But before that, it is all and all about what a founder has done, or what is the founder going to do, the founder story, perspective. All of these things matter, and obviously how passionate you are and the way you tell your story. Clarity in if you are aware about what you are doing, where you are heading, what kind of milestones you're going to meet, all of these things, and your capacity to be able to articulate your ideas and actually put them up on a white board and then be able to explain it. I think all of these things, perspective really matters, and the first 2 or 3 rounds is nothing but a bet on the founders. I think that is what we were able to succeed in, that because I believe I'm a good storyteller, although I mean I wasn't always. It took me a while to get the right skill sets to be able to put those pieces together in my life's jigsaw puzzle and then have the whole ta-da story in place. It takes time, But if you're able to acquire the right skill sets to be able to, share your story correctly and have that vision and clarity of thought, I don't think anybody will not want to invest in you. There are people dying to invest. There is too much of money. Anyone who says that they don't know where the money is, probably you're not looking at the right place. There is too much of money. The challenge is there are not too many good founders, wherein that money can be channeled into. So get your story right, and the millions of dollars will follow you.
I love the way you've said clarity and vision in there in the final part as well, because the importance of the founders is really good and the story is really good as well. But that vision and that clarity of how to get there, and what a lot of people don't realize, and especially I'm not talking about raising $1 million round, like anybody can raise $1 million round. I'm talking about raising a $10 million round. As you're going through the growth stages and you're building the company up, it takes a very special type of person to do that, because you're selling something very important. You're selling belief. And at the end of the day, every investor looks at every startup like a cash register, okay? The piece of land that I could buy next door is a cash register. The stock that I could put money into is a cash register. Like we just had, a number of companies go public the other day. I saw Bird went public the other day. Like Bird is a cash register. It's a public stock cash register. If I put money in my bank, it's a cash register. The 10,000 startups that are all looking for are all cash registers. And all investors are looking at is, number one, which cash register will give me more cash when I press that little button on the top and the till opens, which is going to bring out more cash. And number two is, how much risk is there that if I click this button, the door won't open? Okay. So the very special founders, they have a way of being able to really get very directly to the value of the cash register more than anyone else. A lot of the other founders who have got great stories and are great founders, they will speak to how beautiful the cash register is and how gorgeous it is, and how the cash register has got these flashing lights on the top of it. And they've got gorgeous dollar signs, and the dollar signs are in gold and they're nice and they're encrusted in diamonds, but they don't get to the point of that risk versus reward, which is really the only thing the investors care about. And your clarity about how you intend to build this business and the vision on what it's going to become in the future is extremely compelling. It's the ultimate risk versus reward in the tiniest little place, whereby people feel that massive FOMO when they're around you. And that's the biggest thing for me. So I want to get to that vision. Let's look at the vision. Let's look at what the company can become. Let's fast forward a couple of years in the future. You're already coming into the US. You're taking the US by storm. We know you're going to have like 20 or 30 people over here within the next year, 18 months. But what does it grow into? And not just in size, but in impact in the world. Where do you see this? Let's say you're on stage, you're doing your Forbes, your talk about why you're, forget the 30, under 30 or 40 or 20, but like you're the most famous person on Forbes because you've managed to hit a multi-billion-dollar company. You've overtook Bumble and everybody else, as in female entrepreneurs who just crushed it. What are you saying there about what your company represents today?
So, great question. I wish I'd prepared for this, but okay.
You're on stage, okay?
Absolutely. I think this is something that just comes naturally. So, number one, that what I absolutely love about what you said is that a woman entrepreneur crushing it, because a very, very underrepresented community. So yes, this definitely needs a lot of attention. So the only one thing that is really, first of all, going to take me to that vision is having a fantastic team in place. Great team. So we are working on that, number one. And now, what is that place that we envision? Where do we want to get to? Yes, of course, to a multi-billion-dollar status, to a unicorn status. But let me talk about the impact that we want to create, right? So the one thing that I always say to any journalist that I speak with is that we are a company which was born just before the pandemic, and we started selling during the pandemic. And I come from India, which witnessed 5 million plus deaths, and obviously they were all underreported. The one thing that we have learned in the last 18 to 20 months during the pandemic is that the only thing that binds us human beings are emotions. We are all emotional people. We should be able to care more about the relationships that we have. And how do you care and maintain those relationships is by great communication. And that is exactly what we do. So I am not just talking about, you getting the best hit rates on your dating apps, or, you getting a great click-through rate on your impressions for your, product ads on Google, etc. I am talking about completely democratizing communication within the world. How do you come down to a grassroots level wherein even if you are sending something as basic as a text on your WhatsApp to someone, right? Why can you not understand that, okay, you know what? Your text doesn't sound all that great. You need to tone down, or you need to sound a little better. Right now it sounds very scary. Add a little bit of joy, because guess what? The world is in a terrible place right now. Some empathy will really, really help you get, your communication right with the person that you're chatting with. So I'm talking about grassroots levels of impact. And that is exactly where we are heading. Now, initially we were just in the tech space. Of course, we want to not just be focused on text. Eventually, in a few years from now, we want to enter into images, into videos, and then be able to completely democratize the way any form of content is being evaluated, is being envisaged, is being, created. Now, that is something wherein we want to be the Google for content only. That is something that where we are heading to. And sky is also not the limit, because the opportunity is huge. It is immense. All we need is a great team in house to be able to get there, and to be able to implement and execute all of those wishes that we have. So yeah.
It's beautiful. I see it now. She single-handedly helped the world care more about each other.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a legacy at a time when the world is destroying each other. And to be able to do that is just phenomenal. I got to tell you, and I say this gloating in front of everybody here, I'm so happy we invested in Charmin and Instoried. Yes, come on. Happiest investor in the world. You rock. What you've done with your company is amazing. What you've built is fantastic. People giving you $10 million to invest in this latest A round, for me, was the luckiest thing that they ever did, because they're just about to jump onto a gravy train with one of the best entrepreneurs of our time. So congratulations on it all. I'm right there by your side for the whole thing, as is the dojo. And I'm just so looking forward to seeing you there on the NASDAQ and saying, yeah, it wasn't even hard. Thank you, Charmin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. Great chatting with you.
And that's a wrap.